really short on this one. Second part of the course, beginning to change, public health after 1450, the Renaissance, this great time of learning. Remember what is happening elsewhere. We've got people like Vesalius, Paracelsus, Harvey, Pare. They're all out there. They're challenging the church a little. They're dissecting bodies. They're coming up with new techniques. Our knowledge of anatomy explodes. Our cultural experience explodes. Art, literature, architecture. We're travelling all around the world finding these things out. But what does it do for public health? Well, the answer is not a huge amount. Yeah. What do we know? We knew dirt probably caused illness. We've known that for thousands of years. It's what we can do about it. The idea of miasmas becomes pretty much an accepted theory that these bad smells in the air cause disease. So at times of real bad disease, what they're going to do, they're going to burn tar in the street to get rid of the smells. Equally, by the end of the Renaissance, we believe in spontaneous generation. Remember, we've invented the microscope. Probably Louis Malpighi did that. We've got a lens that can see germs. And because you can see germs, we know they're there. But what the theory is that the germs arrive because of the disease, not as the cause of the disease. It's incredibly hard around Europe, but particularly in Britain, because people don't want to pay tax to raise money for public health. So there's very little control, and that central government is essential, like we looked at in public health. So what are the biggest killers? We've got smallpox, we've got scrofula, we've got the plague, we've got King Charles II, who believes that by touching victims of scrofula, he can cure them. He's touching thousands of people a year. They come, they line up, he gives them the king's touch. That God is giving the power, God is giving the power to the king. There's choice of treatment still. There's no centralised treatment, so you could go to the apothecary, still buy your own cures and treatments. The barber surgeon is still operating. Trained doctors. You've also got quack medicine. There's no law about what you can produce, so you can produce coloured water, candle water, whatever, and sell it in the streets as medicine. We get a development in cities, so London becomes the biggest city in Europe and is heavily populated, and with those people living closer together, more outbreaks of disease. What we don't get, though, is a strong system of government controlling things. In fact, you'd argue that there's been regress. There's people walking up and down the streets of London, York, selling water, which is just it's not clean anyway, and that water was free and available in Rome and Britain. So things aren't really working out as they should yet. The biggest sort of epidemic is the return of the plague, 1665, and here we do get some examples of the government of the time taking action, particularly in big cities like London, where the mayor again orders a street clean. He orders victims isolated in the house for 40 days. Funerals are only allowed out at night, and there's no relatives allowed at those funerals, so no big gatherings. Dogs and cats are killed in the streets. You're not allowed to keep hogs, which are pigs, essentially pigeons, in the city anymore. You're not allowed to see the city without a licence. But it probably still killed around 60,000 people in London, so about 10% of the population. And of course, after the epidemic dies down, those restrictions are cut, and the city is opened up again because London is an important trade centre. And we start to understand here that epidemics will affect the economy of a country, and an epidemic will affect the economy of a city. So the quicker you can get the restrictions in, the quicker you can get the restrictions off at the other end, which is really, really important. Like I said, this is a short section in relation to public health. The same applies as in the last section. Mainly came down to the church, mainly came down to rich people giving money to the church to put in measures to help the poor. There was, of course, 1601 Elizabethan Poor Law, which identified those deserving poor, those who would get help, and the undeserving poor, those that wouldn't get help. But it was down to each parish, that's an area controlled by a church, each parish to administer that for people.